And that is one of the most therapeutic, hardest things you will ever do, especially if it's about your life and what you've been through and just...
All right. Well, welcome to the Hopeaholics Podcast.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
It's always good to see Tim again.
We are friends.
Yes, we are.
Because she loves the recovery space for a long time. And tell me why you love the recovery space. I mean, you love helping people out.
Yeah, I just, and it goes back to high school. I was always the person that everyone went to for advice. And then even out of high school, I wanted to be a psychologist. And then I ended up on a reality show, which was crazy. But I'm always that person helping people. And sometimes I always had to learn the hard way,
Yeah.
And never took advice. So I feel like I do help people a lot in a sense. I've been through a lot. On TV and off TV and, a lot of stuff people don't know about. So I'm very relatable in a sense.
Let's go back to, because I feel for me at least, it's crazy sitting across from you because obviously I watched The Hills. I don't know if you ever watched The Hills, but I'm
Couple
sure.
episodes
it
here
was
and there,
huge. It put Laguna Beach on the map.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like big time. And obviously watching that show, you were so young when you started.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 18 and a half.
When you started?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was right out of high school. And then we stopped when I was like 25 or 26. So
wow.
The majority of all the lessons and things I went through, I had to go through on TV where people around the world, they all thought it was real. So it's like constantly being judged and editing and just having to constantly defend yourself or have a reason of why you did it or what was really, it was just constant.
I mean, first of all, if I had a camera watching me from 18 to 25, it would be a disaster, big time. Because that was when I was, you're a kid, you're experimenting certain things, you're figuring out who you are. And I know for me, I definitely wouldn't want that at that time of my life, just because 18 and 25 I feel like are such a learning curve.
Yes.
Yeah, so
the mistakes are made
left and right.
the most between 18 and 25.
Yeah, so I did all that on TV.
Yeah, that's tough. And not only that, but juggling the fact that you're figuring out who you are, you're making these mistakes to the public essentially for them to watch and judge and do all of the things that the public likes to do without really knowing you as an individual or as a person, because people forget too. Reality TV does so well because you guys are real, you have real relationships, you have real friendships. However, people forget that it's an hour show or a 30-minute show, depending on which reality show or what your segment is. And they're forgetting how much footage is not being shown and cut into something that can, sell a spicy show.
Yeah, it's entertainment. And that's what I had to realize and not wear my heart on my sleeve and realize, okay, I have to compartmentalize for my own good, for my own well-being. And this is my TV life. This is my real life. And sometimes they would blur into each other. But with editing, they're going to make it what they want and make it more juicy and dramatic and throw the, voiceovers in there and do the stares and... and at the end of the day, it's entertainment. So I had to just adapt and accept and just, in my mind, that's what helped me keep going, is that the people around me and my family were the ones that I really cared about what they thought. And as long as they knew the truth and they know me the best, that's all that mattered to me at that moment.
I agree. How did you, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask a question about what was your film schedule at 18 years old, fresh out of high school?
Well, we filmed for a full year before they even aired because the producers wanted to see our dynamic because none of us were really friends. We're all brought together and I had a whole separate life, different friends, and, being put together as like your 3 or 4 bestest friends that you don't even really know. It's kind of like, okay, how are we going to do this? Like, let's try to become friends or see what we have in common. So we filmed for that first year to kind of see our dynamic and what our interests were and what our weaknesses were. And then, we did have to go to the MTV studio and we talked to a therapist or a psychologist, and they kind of found out. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is a free psychologist. Like, I'm just going to give it all. Give me advice. And then after I realized you give everything up, tell them your weaknesses, tell them everything on your mind, pour your heart out. And then they really know who you are and how to push your buttons and what to do to manipulate to get that rage or to get a passion or something out of you for TV.
Some type of emotion.
Yeah.
Something that can get to you in some capacity, which then amplifies and magnifies it on television.
Exactly.
Which is why The Hills was so successful for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you could tell they're the real scenes. You could feel it. And then I know my family and friends, like they could watch the new Hills beginnings and kind of be like, okay, Audrina, since when do you say that? I'm like, that was not obviously that was a fed line, but whatever. It's my TV persona.
For sure.
Right.
How did it feel then to transition out of that, for having that be so much a part of your kind of young adult life into...
I felt lost.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I was so used to waking up and being told where to be, what to wear, like who I was hanging out with, what was happening. And when it all ended, it's like you're just left and you're like, what am I supposed to do? No one's calling me. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. So I moved to Manhattan Beach for a year and I checked out and I told my agents and manager that I don't want to do anything. Like, I need time to figure out who I am again and what I want. So I did turn down a lot of great opportunities, but I felt like I had to for my own mental health and to figure out who I was, because I kind of lost who I was, which is easy to do in Hollywood and being on TV and, questioning yourself all the time and trying to people please and do things that someone else wants you to do where it's not something that you would do. So yeah, I stepped out of the scene for about a year.
What was that like? Did it work? So I always talk about this thing about like the holy ground versus the battleground. So the holy ground is like a place of quiet and safety. So we all look for that because you were in the battleground nonstop on TV as a celebrity. So in that case, going to Manhattan Beach, did it work for you?
It did work for me, but then I got involved in a really toxic relationship. So instead of having peace and serenity and just figuring out who I was and healing and, I threw myself into a relationship that was bad for me. And then I was dealing with all of that drama. So I don't know. It kind of, it helped in a way, but then I just threw myself into something else that kind of confused myself and I got mixed up with.
How long were you in the toxic relationship for?
For a long time. It was off and on. I have a book called Choices and I write a lot about all of this in there. But yeah, it was off and on. It was kind of those push and pull relationships where, he would be gone for 6 months touring. He was an athlete and then would come back and, everything was like different and great. So we'd give it another chance and then it'd go back to what it was. It was a vicious, very bad cycle. And being so young, I just felt like that to me seemed like security and it was so toxic. But for me, like that's what felt like it was normal, And then I got pregnant. And after I had my daughter, like that's when my eyes really opened and I saw life and what it was right in front of me. And she was my only thing I cared about in my entire life so much. And that's really what changed my life.
And that your child is with that relationship?
Yeah, she was from him.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was like, gosh, I knew him. It was kind of off and on for 9 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is a very long time.
Yeah, and we were only together for a full year when I was pregnant. So that was the only time we were together consistently, where he wasn't even there for 6 months of that year, because he was gone a lot. Yeah, and then after that, we got divorced. We got married, got divorced. I was forcing something. Like, I am such the type of person where I'm so determined. And I always think so positive, but sometimes you have to be realistic and listen to the people around you.
For sure. So what was the final kind of, what gave you that courage to then divorce your husband?
It was a series of multiple different abusive things. And with my daughter in the mix now, I was like, I'm not having her grow up around this. And it got a little domestic. And that's when I was like, that was it, rip the Band-Aid. And that it gave me what I needed to finally see, like, why would I do that? What am I thinking? You know, having someone else there and seeing your life through their little eyes or what they're going to see, like, it really changes your whole perspective on life.
And that's a difficult place to be, because I've been through a divorce before. And when you're looking at like the pros and cons of it, we're always concerned about hurting the children.
Yep.
In this case, your daughter. But it is so true. You have to be so careful, because sometimes divorce is what has to happen.
Yeah.
But we were so raised in this traditional way of thinking that divorce is always so bad. And even maybe many times in religion, the divorce is so bad. But in your case, you got through, and you're raising this amazing daughter with all that energy and creativity.
Yeah. So
tell us a little bit on the other side of the choice for divorce, on how you did find your life.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me too, because no one in my family was divorced. You don't believe in that. You stick it out. You make things work. And especially growing up, going to church and everything, it's like, you do not get divorced.
Right.
But like Tim said, sometimes it's worse to stay together than it is to just, we forced ourselves into this. I forced the marriage. I was like, we have to get married because I'm pregnant. I can't be pregnant, not be married. All these things, you spiral. But yeah, I made the right decision, and I felt light, and I prayed about it, and it was really hard. I just threw myself into church and going to groups and just for support and prayers, and just like totally just turned my life. And again, during that time too, I was out of the industry. So when you're out of the industry too, people forget about you. It's like, if you don't stay relevant, it's really hard to get back out there and get on your feet and get jobs again. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I don't know. I just have faith, and somehow it works out.
Yeah. I feel like my husband and I always say, it's one of those things, when you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. And it is very true in the industry, because you're right. If you step out, or if you take a so-called break, there's so many people that are taking those opportunities, and then you kind of fall into the back burner per se.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the flip side, you had to do that in order to get you together. And that's what most important, especially for your child.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before on the podcast, where I think your partner is so important of who you pick. It's imperative for not only you to have a healthy relationship, but especially if you're having children. So making that decision should be something heavy for people, and that's where I sometimes feel in toxic relationships, it's because it's comfort. It's a weird thing it's easy to continuously kind of go back to, because it's what especially if it's kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
And it's hard to walk away. And that's what it kind of sounds like in your guys' relationship for those previous 10 years of kind of like, well, this is what I know. And then it feels great when it's great, and then not when it's not.
Yeah.
So it's hard to walk.
Yeah. And it takes time and motivation and determination of healing and surrounding yourself with the right people. And just for me, it was God and just praying and for guidance and strength and, like the right opportunities and not impulsively making decisions or being peer pressured into things just because.
And it's huge that you were able to go ahead even after you got married thinking like this is the right thing to do. This is what you do. To then be like, no, this is not working out and this is not the way that I want to raise my child. So I'm going to walk. Because a lot of people will stay in it and continue to stay in it.
When my book came out and when I came out with the divorce and everything was in the public, I got so many messages from females and males, mostly females that were in the same position and just asking like, I'm stuck. I have kids. I have no money. Like, I don't know what to do. How did you get out of it? How did you find the strength? Like, what are the tools? And so in my book and everything, I do talk about that. And for me, like I said, again, it's just, for me, it was my daughter, but also just finally listening to everyone around me and not being so stubborn and hard-headed.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm going to make this work. It's going to work. No, it's not working. Like, come on.
It's so amazing when you have a child. And for me, especially, it was a little girl. And when I had her and I realized that I was now responsible for another human life, and the love that I felt for the first time ever in my life, like the real love that I felt, I was going to go to any lengths to better my life.
Yeah.
And that is what happened. And I see that same thing that happened for you. And it happened, I like, because sometimes we have setbacks, but sometimes life just happens for you. That daughter happened for you.
Yes.
To make decisions, for you to be able to make the right decisions to move on and
the thing we have in common at the table is the fact that we have faith, and so grace fills in the gaps. So when there's a gap of a challenge, most people that do not have God, they are trying to fill that gap in, that space. How am I going to fill that space in? But if we let God and his grace fill in the gaps, all of a sudden it's a whole supernatural type of thing that brought you through. And that's the beauty of your testimony and your story, is that not only did you just barely come through, you came out in a very powerful way. And her book has done extremely well. Her following is so huge still. And I'm excited about your calling. What do you think is kind of next for you? I'm always bothering you about that.
I know. And I feel like lately I have just been praying so much and I felt like I hit a dead end. And with the industry is transitioning right now in a really weird place with TV, with reality TV, with YouTube stars, like influencers.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can't, from being on a TV show and on TV for so long, you can't just go back to getting a normal job and living a normal life.
Right.
So it's like, what are we supposed to do now? But, I honestly, I'm figuring that out. And I think I've been going to a lot of different events that it's like women empowerment and just like helping people and speaking out and just, I've found at the last event I went to, it was the Live Out Loud event with Natalie.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I loved it. I just felt like for once, I felt like I was around people that were like-minded and you could feel the love and the energy. And everyone, there was no questioning if someone was fake or if this is genuine or like, oh, they're being nice, but are they really nice? It's like, no, they're real. They are who they are. Like, it was really inspiring. And just, I've been trying to surround myself and going to more events like that. Just because I feel like that's the path, like that's the pool, and you have to listen to that. And it usually takes you on the right path. So, I
think it's similar to what's happening in you, in this whole idea of recovery and discovery. We go through these recovery times in our life, and then God begins to unfold this new thing, this discovery. And I'm watching Natalie's calling come out to help change people, direct people, lead people, and same thing with you. And it's been in you since you were a child.
Yeah.
And I think you're just giving space to it now and just saying, okay, God, let's go. You gave space to it.
Yeah. And I feel like, so, you know, I think with being in, or always questioning myself in the past, it's like you finally get to a place where you actually trust yourself. And you're not second guessing everything you think or what you feel, and like always like, well, is this how is this? It's like finally I'm following my intuition, and I know I'm almost connected more to God's voice, and I could hear if I just sit in silence and you quiet yourself and quiet your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I struggled with that for a long time of trying to be like, I can't hear you, God. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, help. But finally, I feel like I've learned how to quiet my mind and kind of how to tune into that and know what the right decision is.
I feel like sometimes it comes with age. You would hear, or at least for me, I would hear older people talk about whether it's confidence or certain elements of their being. And I think it's very true, because obviously with your own life, you've been through more than the average person just strictly off of a reality TV show. Not many people can say that, right? And so going through the trials and tribulations that you've gone through and you've come out of them on the other end, I feel like as human beings, that gives you a sense of confidence of showing you that you have courage, you have strength, and then therefore it just breathes confidence in you. Like, no, I got this. As long as I'm, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. God, and like for me, God and sobriety are my number one priority. So as long as those two are where they're at, then I can walk through anything.
Yeah.
And knowing that.
And just knowing that everything you go through, whether it's good or bad, is a lesson, and it's a test, it's a trial. And I've realized in my past history, as everyone's seen on TV, I had to learn that lesson over and over and over, and sometimes with a different person, because I was stuck in this vicious cycle. And then it's almost like I saw this saying the other day on Instagram, or someone talking about it. And it's like you'll keep experiencing the same lesson, the same trial, but until you learn your lesson, you won't be rewarded or be able to move on to the next phase because you're stuck. So you really have to dive deep and look at yourself and just want to help yourself, not just wait for someone else to do it. Like it all comes back onto you.
Oh my God, I love that, because I always say this and I always say this on here, because my husband is the best and he's a normie, and the way that he thinks is fascinating to me, because I don't think like that. He's just logical and smart, and I'm definitely a chaotic tornado. But it's one of those things, and we talk about it a lot, but working a 12-step program, one of the steps that we have to do is our 4th step. And what that is looking at all of our character defects and realizing once you go through that process, you see on paper, oh my goodness, I'm repeating a lot of these things continuously in multiple areas of my life, in multiple relationships. So it's really one of those things, and I hate saying it because it does sound so cliche, but you have to do a lot of internal work in order to push through whatever it is, or to be the best that you can possibly be going forward, which then gives you more confidence. It's like a very crazy, annoying thing, but it all comes with taking the accountability and looking in the mirror.
I like to call that leveling up. You have to go through these, because you get stuck, and a lot of times you get stuck right at the end of a life level. You get stuck at the end of a life level, and if you continue to repeat the part where you're stuck at, you continue to repeat that until you fix it. And then you level up. And then it's freeing again for a while. Until you get to the
there's always going to be a new
there is always I mean Kevin Hart says it all the time. There's always another level.
Yes. So there's in the Bible, Hebrews 11:32 says their weaknesses, plural, weaknesses, we all struggle with weaknesses, were slowly turned to strength. We don't like that. We want our weaknesses to quickly turn to strength.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
we're slowly turned to strength. And so what we have to do is make sure we realize, man, we may not be what we want to be, but thank God we're not what we used to be.
Yeah.
So all four of us at this table and all the guys on the couch, look at it. We have a couch over there.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
What do you think about couch people? Are you liking this interview so far?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Couch people.
But the weaknesses are slowly turned to strength. So now that you're getting stronger in certain areas, what does that feel like?
It feels liberating. It feels good. Like you feel free. And for once, it's like, my life is my life. I could do whatever I want now. I'm not under contract with anyone or a company or brands or whatever. It's like I, for once, get to make my own decisions, and it's freeing to know that whatever decision I make, it's going to take me down a certain path. And the future is scary. Like not knowing what's next is always a little scary. But that's where faith comes in. You could either have faith or fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're saying, come
Well,
on, come on, do it.
the faith or fear part.
Yeah, the fear.
Well,
fear
fear is we can say fuck everything and run, or we can face everything and recover.
Exactly.
Can I quote that at a big church when you speak?
No, you cannot. You can do the latter part. Fear is face everything and recover.
To quote one of the greats.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a Narcotics
Fear
Anonymous quote.
Yeah.
But I always think,
and we use the F word.
it's so true though, and it is scary because of the not knowing, and it is odd in the sense of being in the industry. You don't have the stability of a typical 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can look at it, something amazing is about to happen, and that could be anything. Like you can go into so many crazy, amazing opportunities, from speaking on tour to all of a sudden a massive TV deal, or who knows,
Or
a social media
brand
deal,
sponsorships that you want, that you control,
that you do, that
or
you
your
love.
own brand,
It's
or
just
your CEO.
Yeah.
It's learning to live for yourself and make your own. That's my biggest struggle. It's like I was so used at a young age, and now I'm 38, and so it's finally like now I feel like I'm just starting to live my own life.
Yeah.
Where it's like I get to make my own decisions, and it's like, but what do I want? What am I good at? So I get to go through all these questions and like get to know myself all over again.
Which is exciting
Yeah.
and scary, but at the same time, you have the paintbrush, so you're in control. And a lot of people can't say that because they don't have that capability, or they're not at that
Stage.
exactly.
I can see that there's something amazing for you, and I'm just gonna leave it at this because I'm not gonna dive.
I mean, you already
into
wrote a
anything.
book for Pete's sake.
I
That's
know.
a
I have.
freaking
That's on
amazing.
my bucket list.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
We have.
Yeah.
Not, and I am
And I'm like,
11 years older than you.
And that is one of the most therapeutic,
I
hardest
bet.
things you will ever do, especially if it's about your life and what you've been
course.
through and just.
I'm probably gonna
Goodness.
cheat though, because I'm just gonna speak it to chat GBT
Exactly.
and be like,
You
Chad,
need
you're not
to
supposed
work
to
on
say-
your book.
Chad, you're
obviously.
not supposed to say that.
"Oh, I'm not." Dang, I'm like an open book
I'm
though. I
kidding.
just tell
I'm
the
kidding.
truth.
I'm kidding.
I tell.
But
the-
that alone right there is a huge accomplishment and massive, because you're able to put pen to paper and people can have something tangible that they can go out and get a piece of you.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was really hard for me, but it was also so good for me because it forced me to look at my past and look at my history and go through everything, which I'm the type of person where I was just like, nope, shut it out, block it out, keep going. So it forced me to like look at my patterns and everything that I've been through. And it's weird. Some of the things I went through on TV, it's not that I wanted to, but I blocked a lot of it out. And sometimes maybe it's just like I don't know what people do that. It's like,
A coping
mechanism. I think that's what I did. Even from a young age, certain things, that type where I would just block it out and I just would not remember anything for like, just to help myself keep going forward.
I think one of the things that's difficult of like a child star, because she's like a child star. If you look at it.
18 is a kid.
Yeah. So if we look at it from a life coach's perspective, like birth to 20 is the first quarter of life, like the first part. And then you have 20 to 40. Okay. So now you're in this second stage, but then you're going to still have 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and then 80 is the bonus. So just yesterday, I was with my mother, who's 91. She'll be 92 in March, and she's feisty.
Wow.
She's funny. She's creative.
Yeah.
She's got the juice.
You've seen my 88-year-old dad. Well, he's going to be 88 in
Okay, so it says something. So the cool thing with your life is that birth to 20, you had already been discovered in that stage. Yeah. Then we got 20 to 40. So now is like, in my opinion, a time where you're like, boom, let's go.
Yeah. And I'm ready. I'm finally like, I'm ready. I know who I am. I'm ready for whatever's next. And I know
20 to 40, she was filled with chaos also. You know,
True.
20 to literally 20 to 38 until her divorce, it was chaos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now she found God.
Yes.
And she's finding
Wait, did
peace.
you have God before?
Yeah. I mean, I've went to church since I was little. And that's one thing with being in the industry that I did have that kept me grounded is just, and I got sucked into the Hollywood scene here and there, you know, but I always had my family like, hey, get your butt in the car. We're coming up to get you. You're coming home for 3 days. We haven't heard from you. Get in the, especially my mom, you know.
Yeah.
And I had that, but she'd always remind me about God, and she instilled those morals and values and made sure from a young age that we knew who God was. So in times like I went through that, I kind of knew who to turn to and what I needed to do.
Which is super important.
Yeah.
Life-saving.
40s are amazing, though. I can tell you guys.
Tell us about it.
I am ending.
I want to know when I get there what it's going to be like.
January 8th, I will be able to tell you exactly what the whole entire 40s is like because I will be 50.
Does your wife know your age?
Does she? She's I'm not gonna say how old she is. 36.
But does she know?
That's how old she was when we met when we got married.
Does she know your age? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she certainly does.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard that like 40s, some of my friends that are in their 40s, they said like, you think your 30s are good, wait till you turn 40. Like your 40s are just, that's when you're living and like you know yourself the most.
Ready, yes, if you're ready. Some people aren't ready for their 40s, right? And they try to stay in their 30s. But if you move into your 40s with confidence and this is, I am more mature, I have more wisdom. The sky ends up being the limit. I have built more in these 10 years than I built from 20 to 40.
Okay, so you guys have it exactly right. So the 40 to 60 stage is where people build the empires. And part of that is because they learn from past mistakes and they try to acquire wisdom. But you have to have a growth mindset, which all four of us do. And even the couch dwellers have the same thing. But you have to have the growth mindset. And I mean, you're all about that right now.
Yeah.
You're reading a lot. I see that on your social media.
Yes, I have. I feel like I'm a very different person than I was 10 years ago.
And thank God for that.
I know.
You know, like I feel the same way. I'm completely a different person. So when people want to say, oh, you've changed, thank you.
Yes, I
hope so.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Are you still the same person that you were when you were 20? Because I don't want to.
I would hope not. So it's.
What are you reading?
Oh my goodness, I've been reading a lot of inspirational things and. Oh, goodness. Well, I just started reading Jana Kramer is one of my friends. She sent me her new book, and I just started that. But I like to read more inspirational things and just like biohacking and
that's
for sure.
like things from the inside out.
I love it.
That's us right here.
Yeah.
We're big nerds like that.
Yeah.
Pleasure read over here.
And also about, you know, like the world for me and just transitioning and about the internet and AI and like how things are changing and where it's going, because I get so stuck in 10 to 15 years ago that like that's also what I feel like is holding me back a little bit, because I'm stuck in those ways.
Yeah.
Where needing approval from an agent or needing permission to do something, where it's like, no, actually, I probably don't need someone to do that for me. All I have to do is go online and do it myself. My audience is right there. So that's been a challenge for me, is just trying to do things on my own like that and know that like I don't need permission or I don't need someone to do it for me. It's like I've been trying to teach myself how to do all these new things.
Which is hard.
It is, but and then with having a daughter, it's like what? They're growing up so much faster than we did, just with the internet and everything so accessible and YouTube, and it's just a little scary to think.
I want to go somewhere on a question that most people would not think about. Is your love for music, the fact that you even love Jimi Hendrix.
I love Jimi Hendrix.
No, but it's crazy. Like, you know, old music.
Yeah.
You love going to concerts. Why?
I've loved, and I told you this, when you came to my house, you saw the Jimi Hendrix picture. I was shocked. Yeah.
Because you're young.
My mom and dad were I grew up listening to good old music. You know, my mom's loved the Motown, but she loved all different genres, and my dad. So the two of them combined, music was always therapy. It was an outlet for me. It like helped me cope with what I was going through internally, with school, with family, with life. And so when I was 18, I worked at a music record label in Newport Beach. And then when I got on the hills, moved to LA at 18 after that, I worked at a photo studio. Then I worked at Epic Records. But I always, even in high school, I went to shows. Like I'd rather go home, do my homework, and I would go to Chain Reaction and Glass House, and I mean, everywhere. Even on my lunch breaks at school, I would go to like watch Rufio at the Riverside College, and then I'd be late going back to school, but like I just loved music.
But don't you both think that music is part of therapy? Is it for you? Do you like music?
I love music. Motown was my dad's jam. Like Smokey Robinson is his favorite artist. I do. Music is pretty much everything. It can set the mood. It can set... Yeah. If you want to cry for a while, you could put on some good crying music. If you want to get yourself hyped up and ready to go, you could put on. That's why music is amazing, is because there's so many genres that you can pick from.
How about for you, Chad?
For me, I love music. I am very into because I grew up in the era where big hair bands turned into hip hop.
Yes.
So I go all the way back to Run DMC, you know.
Marky Mark.
Goodness. Mark.
We love Marky Mark.
I did
As a matter of fact, I'm buying all of his. I think I keep his mortgage payment paid with his sweats. Right, babe? But yes, I'm very much into hip hop, old school hip hop, probably up until about 2015, and then I don't like any hip hop after, except for Nipsey Hussle.
Whoa.
Nipsey
Hussle is, if you go in and you
the fact that you know that.
Oh, I love Nipsey. His lyrics coincide with everything you hear on motivational YouTube channels such as Motiversity. He was speaking that stuff through a different type of language that hit his culture. Yeah. And it's very powerful if you actually truly listen to Nipsey Hussle.
The right music can trigger you into the positive, just like the wrong can trigger you to the negative.
Yes.
So what triggers you into the positive? Like if you're looking for a certain mood,
okay.
What triggers you?
Well, right now in the day when I need to be motivated and just stay focused and be positive, I'm all about frequency. So I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up like frequency 428, or there's different frequencies you can listen to. And when I was going through a really hard time, I would put a frequency on for me and my daughter, and we would go to sleep to that. And we'd wake up in the morning and you just feel so amazing and positive and ready to take on the world. So when I'm feeling down or I'm like, I need to get, I don't want to hear words. I just need to feel something. I look up different frequencies.
I am going to start doing that.
That's super powerful.
I just added that to my repertoire.
For my 15-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every morning. What do you think about that, Donna? I think that we're going to give it a try for 1 week at home in the morning. I'm going to look up a good frequency.
Yeah, or even to go to sleep to. I'll fall asleep to it. But yeah, and then I realized when I was in like high school, I went to hardcore shows. I had purple hair and a nose ring, and I was into like punk and hardcore stuff. Yeah. And my mom would always be like, Audrina, what is wrong with you? You're the sweetest girl. And you listen to this like devil screaming music. I'm like, I don't know. I like it. And I think for me, it helped. It was therapeutic. Like I held everything in. And when I would hear the music, it would like let the anger out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
So, but like you said, there's music sets the mood. I feel like DJs, you can make someone cry. You could set the whole crowd, make them feel a vibe and like make them feel alive or angry or want to fight, just depending on the music you play.
That's what I think is great about the Aspire tour, because they have a DJ that sets the tone even before the speakers get there. And they have an MC that sets the tone, a different MC wherever they go to. But that's what I noticed. They set the tone for the crowd.
Yep.
And then each speaker gets their own tone.
Yes.
That they come out to. Which what do you come out to, Tim?
Every
day I'm hustling.
Yes, I do come out to Rick Ross. That's right. Every day I'm hustling.
On the Aspire tour.
Yes, because every day I am hustling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you give it a little.
I do that.
Yes.
I love that.
Because I'm from Compton.
Yes.
But I mean, it makes sense if you think about any sports team or when they're coming out to music. Yeah. When you hear a song, all of a sudden it'll have nostalgia of some sort, you know?
What song did you come out to in wrestling?
Oh, it was my own.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've... Can we play that one day? Because I want to come.
There's I think 3.
Yes, I've heard
3
them.
different ones.
So she's wrestled in front of how many people at one time?
The largest crowd, 110,000.
Wow.
Yes, but she's like epic on stage.
Wait, I need to look you up.
No,
now.
next level. Trust me.
Awesome.
Can you pull up something?
Oh no.
See how she seems shy and demure right now? Not
when that camera's on and the lights are
like
there in the crowd.
No. Yeah, it's another. So my full name, Natalie Marie. I go by my middle name in wrestling, so it's a persona. It's an image, you know, that you get to kind of play, and I play a bad guy, so you get to step in that and just go balls to the wall.
See, you're like acting too.
For sure. Yep. That's why I was like, God, thank you so much for this opportunity, because it had everything I wanted to do infused into one place. You have to create a character. You get to act. You're in front of a live audience.
It's real though, right?
Wow.
Please don't answer that with anything other than yes. Wrestling is real.
Oh my
God.
God.
It is real.
Just say yes.
It is real.
Okay, so Natalie, she has to go.
Don't.
So I want
Michelangelo, get it off.
I want you to
get it off.
There she is, right there.
Get me off.
Watch her just
you look like a goddess.
And
just watch her for a minute. Whoa, look at her.
You need to go with
just watch
current.
Her. Just watch her.
2021,
Whoa,
please.
Wait,
violent.
What is the training like for that? Is it every day?
Violent.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Oh, see, that is real right there. You can't tell me that that doesn't feel something.
That is amazing. I could never do that.
That's why we fear her. Notice?
Jesus.
Yeah. I was trying to get her to throw me so our video would go viral. And like Jonathan's like, no, you're going to get hurt. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. My video will go viral.
Just throw him in a foam pit.
Yes.
He'll be
I'll be
fine.
like, my arm will be broken like this.
Okay, Natalie, give her one last good question because she has to go do something exciting after this.
Like get my daughter from school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, responsibilities. One last question. Okay, if you could talk to anybody right now, whoever is listening, and they are in a spot in their life where they are stuck, whether it's in a relationship or something that is not good for them, what would you say to them to move from that current state into the next?
I think it really starts in your mind. So for starters, sometimes writing everything out that's on your mind, get it all out, write it all down. And then for me, it's just like catching yourself with certain thoughts and changing your habits and having a support system or someone you can call to when you're feeling down, or just having someone to check up on you all the time, because sometimes you don't do that for yourself. And then figuring out what makes you feel alive. For me, it was music. It was, like going to concerts, live music, and having friends, and just falling in love with yourself and finding out what you like again, and just, surrounding yourself with people, really, and God and church. That's what helped me. I know it might not help everybody else, but for me, like from experience, that's what really helped me get out of that rut, and just having faith and staying strong and staying the path, which is really hard to do.
I love it. Okay, tell us where we can get your book.
My book's on Amazon or Target, any bookstore. It's called Choices.
Choices. Fantastic.
Yeah.
To the hills and back again.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
Thank
That's
you
great.
so much for coming on the Hopeaholics podcast.
Thank you, guys.
We are honored.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was so fun.
We are honored. You're fantastic.
Thank you. I could talk for hours.
So can we.
Yeah, so can we.
We have
That's why we have to have
3-hour podcast.
That's why we have to have time limits and things, because we could just go on and on.